Shadow work, kind of like part duh, just because I've made a video on processing trauma before, but we're just gonna reiterate some of that information and then I'm gonna elaborate on it. The word that came to mind was an amputation. Sometimes we live with things so long that we are okay with that being a part of our being. In order to be the best version of yourself, sometimes we need to amputate certain aspects of our ego, personality, or any residual subconscious trauma that has occurred to us, whether it be one time, multiple times. With that being said, when you amputate a part of your physical being, right? At first we're like, why did that have to happen? Why do I have to do this? I'm living without a part of myself. And eventually you learn to live without it. You utilize other parts of your body to kind of make up for what you've lost. At first there's a lot of residual anger, grief, and I would suggest going through the 7 stages of grief in regards to how you're processing certain things. But in regards to the amputation aspect of dissecting parts of your personality or dissecting trauma from yourself, there's always going to be a period of rejuvenation, regrowth, kind of like a rewiring, remapping of oneself. And it's not happy. This is not like a happy trail. I don't think I've come across one practitioner that was like, shadow work is so exciting and it's it makes me feel fantastic. No, shadow work is working on the shadow aspects of yourself. And you're kind of learning to discern and kind of extract parts of yourself that no longer serve the greater good, right? So, examples. You might be living with a trauma so long that you're in a constant state of anxiety and fear, and you're used to living in that fear. It makes you comfortable. When you extract the anxiety aspect of it, the fear aspect of it, and you've kind of dealt with the trauma, now you're left alone with yourself, and you don't know how to be content. So you're kind of rewiring, relearning how to be content with oneself, without the fear aspect, without the fight or flight aspect of yourself. And you're so used to living in that chaos, you don't know what to do with yourself. This middle ground of shadow work, that is not the beginning nor the end, the process of shadow work, there's nothing about it that is comfortable. Nothing about it that is comfortable. Let that be said. Now, there's different ways of doing shadow work. If you have PTSD because of the trauma that occurred to you, go to a specialist. Go to a therapist that specializes in PTSD. If you're in the spiritual realm and you have found a shaman or a mentor that, has been doing this for quite some time and has some experience underneath their belt, reach out to them. Try to do it spiritually. There's no one way to attack shadow work, to face it head on. There's no one way to do it. There might be multiple avenues you have to take. There might be multiple things that you have to deal with. And in regards to your ego and processing one's ego, I have a video on depth and destruction. I think I'm going to reconstruct that. But when you're amputating aspects of you that have been you for so long, of course you're going to miss them. Of course you're not going to know what to do without them. I think it takes the body cell rejuvenation about 7 years in order to reconstruct. Imagine your mind and the nervous system within your mind that is your mind, and it's so used to being hit with trigger after abuse, after trauma. Your nerves are so shot at that point, it needs time to rejuvenate. See a holistic doctor. See what they might prescribe in order for nerve regeneration. Because you have lived in a constant state of anxiety, fear, trauma, for so long, you don't know the damage you've probably done to your mental state and mental well-being. And that, of course, needs to be rejuvenated. Does it take a year? No. Does it take a few years? No. It could take as long as a decade, give or take, to kind of process, depending on how much trauma you've had. And then also when you're approaching the ego aspect of yourself and detaching yourself from your ego, that takes time to heal from, to learn who you truly are on a soul level, who you want to be, and being the best version of yourself. And aspiring to be that will mean you're going to let go a lot of stuff you thought you needed. Some people flourish in chaotic states. Some people flourish on that fight or flight kind of mentality. And it's because they've learned to cope with it, thus utilizing it in order to sustain themselves or for survival. So when you're coming back and you're kind of stripping that from them, they don't know how to survive. They don't know what to do. There's no one way to do shadow work. I can go into a list of things that I've done, and they're extremely unconventional to conventional ways. I had to kind of really go on this spectrum and take each individual part of myself and kind of get a specialist for that, including myself, because nobody knows yourself better than you. You can choose not to do the work, but you're going to be left with such residual angst that you're going to not know why you're in this community, what you're bringing to the table. You're bringing to the table the best version of yourself so other people can relate to it, learn from it, and find the best version of themselves so we can make a new, better earth. That's it. Do yourself justice. And even if you don't have to account for anybody else, do yourself justice. And get the work done. Just so you can live with yourself. Just so you can sleep better at night. Just because you can understand your place in the world. That's the point. The point is to be the best version of yourself, to perpetuate that.